The topic is going to be our thoughts. Now, as I mentioned earlier, is that is the common denominator for every human being, our thoughts. Our thoughts are what we all have. And I'm going to start with a story, and it's a personal story about how once upon a time my thought processes, the moment in which I felt like I was able to control my thoughts and I felt like my thoughts were on my side, and how that has how allowed me now to live the life that where I have that sort of relationship with my thoughts that is helpful. And the story started off when I was 16 years old. For the first time ever, my dad had let me go traveling alone. 16 years old. I wasn't going anywhere too far away. I was only going to Sweden. And I was going to visit my sister. And as part of that trip to Sweden to visit my sister, we were going to ski. And this is the first time I had ever skied in my entire life. And I still remember it. I remember it crystal clear. First time ever skiing. I remember watching a couple YouTube videos the night before, as you do, trying to, touch up on my skiing skills. And the next day came, I was buzzing. I was so excited to hit the slopes. And I just couldn't wait to just get in those shoes and start going down the mountains. But the thing is that I thought I relied on the knowledge that I gained in that couple YouTube videos to just set me off. And I went up the mountain on my own. My sister still hadn't even come up yet. None of my brother-in-laws, they're all still there. I decided I'm just going to go down the mountain. And the thing is nobody had taught me how to slow down or brake. Stupid, I know. I was young, I was crazy, and I decided to ski without knowing how to slow down. And I remember rushing down this mountain. And the first one sort of ended up like the first way down, I kind of stumbled and it was the adrenaline rush. It was amazing. And I said, okay, let's do this again. So I went up even further to the top of the mountain. And I started to go down, and I'd see all these kids doing like zigzags. As you go down a mountain, you do a zigzag as you're skiing. I decided, nah, I'm not going to do that. And I just gunned it straight down without knowing how to even slow myself down. I tried to do the thing that they did on YouTube, the slow plow, nothing was helping. So I just went directly straight down the mountain, and I went straight into the forest, or a massive block of ice, hit it, went flying through the air, and I landed on the snow. Rock hard, solid ice. It wasn't even snow. And I still remember opening up my eyes, and I would look around, look left, look right. I think, oh, okay, well, I'm alive. Let me try and get up. And I remember trying to get up, and nothing was happening. Then I look over to my right, and I see my ski boot without the ski, it was just the boots, sat on my right hand shoulder, pointing that way. My leg was going down, up, round, and then sat on my shoulder. It was something I never thought I'd seen before. Has anyone seen Harry Potter, where everything sort of goes limp, where they do that spell and their bones just sort of seem to disappear? That's what had happened to my leg. And my leg had snapped into two pieces, and now it was sat on my shoulder. I was 16 years old. And this is when my thoughts started to play games on me. I got two thoughts in my head. It's like a voice popped up in my head. It's like, Mohammed. And I remember observing this thought appear in my mind, literally. And it said, oh, Mohammed, well, it seems like we have a situation here. And I wasn't this thought, I was watching this thought happen. It said, we have a situation here, and you have two options. Option A is you can panic, you can stress out, but really and truly, that won't really take you anywhere. It won't solve the problem. You've broken your leg in half. Option two is just deal with it. And then poof, that voice just disappeared in my head. But for a moment, I had observed my mind think these thoughts. I wasn't thinking them. I observed my mind thinking them. And I thought, well, that's simple. Option A won't get me anywhere. It's not taking me anywhere. But option B is just to deal with it. So I decided in that moment, I'm just going to deal with it. I picked up my leg and I put it back. And as I was about to put it back, someone ran up to me and they said, hey, what's going on? Do you need any help? And I was literally halfway through putting my leg down, like, listen, mate, I've broken my leg, call an ambulance. Now, what was amazing about that moment in my life, it was the first time this had ever happened to me. But I wasn't thinking, but rather I was watching my mind think. And an analogy that helps me try and explain it to people is some of you here may be familiar with like PlayStation games. And particularly there's one PlayStation game called Call of Duty, where in Call of Duty, when you're playing Call of Duty, What you see is a first person perspective where you look down at the person looks down at themselves and they see their hands in the same way. Right now, I want to do an exercise with everybody. I want you to raise your hands, look at them, look at your hands. Okay, you are in first person perspective. You see yourself. You are inside your own head. Okay, and that's like a Call of Duty view, right? As we'll call it Call of Duty view for the foreseeable in today's talk. But in that moment, it wasn't a Call of Duty view. It was more like, again, with a video game analogy, it was more like a GTA view. And if anybody's played GTA, that's when you can actually see the character in front of you. You're not inside the character, but instead it's like you're like a little camera that's behind the character and you're watching this character run around. In that moment, I wasn't inside my thoughts, but rather I was sat in a remote place observing those thoughts. And that moment changed my life because for once I realized that I had the ability, I don't know how, to zoom out and make a choice about which thoughts I want to take and which thoughts I don't want to take. I was present in that moment to realize that my mind was coming up with options. You see, one thing that we don't realize about our thoughts, about our brains, is that our brains are like computers. And again, this is a discussion. Please, if anybody has a question about my story, about what I'm saying, please just put your hand up. Let's talk about it. Our brains are like computers. And computers, their job is just to send signals. They're just there to process information. Now, our brains are a special type of computer. They don't only just process information, but they also generate this like byproduct called thoughts. Now, put your hand up on the screen or unmute yourself if you want to speak. Who here has experienced a negative thoughts or a thought that's actually not just negative, but we're talking something catastrophic? It's like when you're driving down the motorway and you get a little voice in your head saying, I wonder what will happen right now if I just go. Am I the only one that just gets these crazy ideas sometimes for no apparent reason? But my brain has generated this thought that says that to me. But the thing is that, yeah, Zainab's got it. She gets it. Is that a question or is that just an agreeing, Zainab? Seems like you're just agreeing. But yeah, Zainab gets it. Anybody else here who's had like a thought that's, or let's say you're walking down, a bridge and it's like, I could jump over this fence and dive into the river right now. Probably cause a lot of damage for myself, but I could do that. It's like that voice that isn't you. And there's no way it's you. And in the moment you say, well, I'm not going to do that because you recognize that as a stupid thought and you're able to put it aside. The thing is, our brain's job, like a computer, is just to generate thoughts. We generate thousands of thoughts per minute, every minute, throughout our whole lives. Our whole life, our computer is just there to create thoughts and then present them to us. Create thoughts and present them to us. Create a thought and present it to us. Over and over and over and over again. Your mind will create a thought and then present it to you. Now, the thing is, so not all of those thoughts are going to be good. Yet why is it that as human beings, we find ourselves being attached to our thoughts? We find ourselves that actually, if I think something, well, I've thought this thing's come out of my mind. Like I think I'm right because it came out of my own head and it's me. We live in it. Our brain kind of wants to protect itself because it's in a situation where it's like, well, if I've thought this thing, then it's come from me. You attach yourself to that thought. And now it's not just a thought, it's my thoughts. And the danger of it being my thoughts is that I don't want to be wrong. And my ego doesn't want to be wrong. Because if my ego is wrong, then who am I? Like, why am I wrong? So we get into a point where every one of these thoughts, the thousands of thoughts per second that come out of our mind, we take ownership of them. And it's like we claim them as our own, and then we will fight tooth and nail because of this thought. But as Zainab knows, sometimes we get these random thoughts that have no place in our mind. And we can categorically say that these are wrong thoughts, and I do not agree with this thought. The fact that we were able to differentiate that about one thought instantly denotes that our brain and the thoughts that come out of our brain, you have to have a massive question mark on those thoughts, because there's no guarantee that the thought that's come out of your mind is good or bad. It's just a thought. But I don't care if it's come out of your brain, it is just a thought. But the thing is that if you're living life in COD view, in Call of Duty view, where you are inside your own mind and the thought feels intrinsic to who you are, then this is your thought. But the moment you're able to zoom out and you're able to look at your life from a third person perspective and you're able to observe your thoughts, all of a sudden they're not just your thoughts. It's like you're watching your mind generate this thing, and then you get to go, you have a choice to go yes or no. But the thing is that we don't do that. We take too much pride in our own thoughts, and we feel like our thoughts are what own us, but they don't. Your brain is just a machine that generates thoughts. It will generate good, it will generate bad. The trick is don't judge them, because if you're judging them, then you're already battling. You're already halfway through a battle. I know that the topic of today's discussion was how to control the voice inside your head. The fact is, you don't actually control it. You give it room to do whatever you want. What you change is you change your relationship to it. You make it as if, well, my brain can think whatever it wants, but me, the voice, that my actual spirit, my soul, I will decide which of these thoughts I like and which of these thoughts I don't like. Who's here, when you meet somebody in the street, you have a choice. You like them or you don't like them. But it's easy to do that about people in the street because they're outside. But the fact is that the voice inside your head and the thoughts that you think, you need to have the same sort of, I wouldn't say doubting, but I'd say questioning perspective on them. Because even they can be your worst enemy. I mean, in Islam, we get taught that in the nafs ammaratan bisu, your own soul can order you to do bad. So what does that tell you about your own head and your own mind? It can become your worst enemy if you decide that actually my thoughts are me. But the moment you can separate me and who you intrinsically believe you are to your thoughts, you become free, you become liberated. Now, your brain, in a moment, your brain might think something. And whereas before you'd be like, oh, I can't believe I thought that. Oh my God, is that true? Is that even, yeah, maybe that's true. Maybe that's true about myself. You might have a thought about yourself. You might say, oh my God, I'm so stupid. Or, oh my God, like, I'm not enough. Or, oh my God, they're judging me. Or like, you have these negative self-doubt thoughts. And the thing is that it's your own mind thinking about you. And it's really hard to separate your own mind thinking about you because it seems like there's no one else in this equation. It's just you. It's like, it's me thinking about me. How can I be wrong? I know myself. So therefore, when I tell myself I'm stupid, I must be stupid. Or not even when I tell myself, is that when a thought comes up into my mind that I'm not enough, it's coming from me. So yeah, maybe I'm not enough. But the thing is that you're treating your thoughts like gospel. You're treating your thoughts like they've been sent from the heavens and that they're all correct. But I can guarantee each and every single one of you in this call has had a moment where you've had a thought in your mind that's come up and you can categorically say, you know what, that was a dumb, stupid thought and I don't actually believe in that. But it came from your own head. The premise and does this make sense? I would love for people just to write in the chat because I've been going on for a while. I'd love to just sort of sense check. If anybody here could sort of maybe summarize what I've been saying or maybe give their perspective on it, I'd love to hear what your perspectives are on this topic. Maybe somebody's, Zaharat's written something in the chat, responding to that voice is up on us. Given the right reaction is important. Absolutely. Anybody else have a perspective that they'd like to share about this? There's no pressure. If you don't want to talk, that's all right. But okay, go on. Yes, Sani Zahra. Please unmute yourself. Go for it. Assalamu alaikum.
Brother.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Perfect. Loud and clear.
Yes, but there's something that we all have different backgrounds. Sometimes, as people say, that we don't have much confidence in our own selves, as because we have different past experiences. So we, at some point, we start believing in that thoughts, that negative thoughts, because we have never achieved something in the past, or we have always heard people saying wrong and negative about us. So this is one thing, one important thing that causes you to think like that, and we can't stop this. This is very difficult to control at that point when you have some uh, surroundings and lack of, I think, not confident, you're not given confidence in your childhood, and you have certain experiences. This is one important thing that affects your thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that perspective. And you mentioned a very important point about the past. And the thing about the past is that it's happened, it's gone, it's done. Right now, the only reality of the past is what's up in your head. Certainly. So if you look back and you think about the past, it's just your thoughts. You can't really point to it. Where is it? It's not there. It's not actually there. And when you're thinking about the past, all you're doing is you're using up the current moment, the moment that you're currently living in. Imagine it's a token. And rather than enjoying this token for what it is right now, you're using up this token to think about what was in the past. When in reality, you could be using this token right now just to enjoy it right now. The past is the past. The only thing that we can change about the past is our relationship with it. Again, a really important thing is that your past does not determine your future. And that's a really important thing that we have to realize, is that our past and people's opinions of ourselves do not determine who we are for our future. If we have experiences where you failed at something and you haven't done good at something, well, I guarantee that if you try it again now, you will be better than the last time you did it. Because as human beings, what we do is we grow. That experience, if all you see from that experience is failure and as negativity, then all it will do is weigh you down. And the thing is that your current mindset might be that I'm going to think about the past in a very negative way. But if you change your relationship with that thing that happened and the event that happened, and rather than saying, oh my God, I can't believe and you associate you with that failure, you say, I wonder what I could have done differently to the past, if I'm ever in that situation again, that can actually mean I have a different outcome. And you utilize that past, you utilize that situation to, rather than be just a failure and be a loss, to actually be a lesson. And you flip it on its head, you turn it into a lesson. And an exercise that I like to do is, any situation that happens to me, I like to summarize exactly what I've learned from this lesson, from this situation, in one sentence. Try and distill the lessons learned that you have from our situations in the past to one sentence. And that's when our past situations and who we think we are from our past and who we attach ourselves to be from the past doesn't matter anymore. Because the thing is that the present person you are right now wants to prove to itself that it is its past. That's your egoic self. Your ego needs to prove that it exists. And the only thing it has to prove that it exists is who it thinks it was from the past. So it's going to extrapolate who it believes is. It doesn't even, do people like, I'm not sure if the word extrapolate is as often used, because I only learned it recently, the word extrapolate. But I'd love to draw on a diagram what the word extrapolate means. So I'm going to draw a graph, so bear with me, yeah? I'm going to draw this graph, all right? And then what we have is we have a dot, 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 dot. So we have, let's say we have this is time. So this is the time on this axis here, all right? And this is whatever you wanna measure against time. So let's just call this self-confidence, yeah? Self-confidence. Now, imagine over time, Your self-confidence has been here. It's been here. It's been here. It's been here. All right, you've had a moment there. It's been here. 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 This is the present moment. Not sure if you guys can see what I'm drawing. Right, let me try and explain. Okay, so this is the start of time, and as time has gone on, this has been your self-confidence. This has been what your mind is tracking, and it's what is your mind is taking notes about. Right. This is your self-belief. You're like tracking on a graph where what your self-confidence should be. And this right here is the current moment in time. Now, if all you did was you looked into your past, try and understand yourself, and you determined your future based upon your past, all right, where do you think the next X is going to be? Right? What your mind does is it will draw an average curve along these lines, and it'll say, well, on average, my confidence has been about here. So for now and for the future, all right, I'm going to extrapolate. Extrapolate means I'm going to predict based upon previous information that this is what my confidence is going to be. So I'm going to draw like an average line here on this graph. And basically what you tell yourself is that all of these dotted lines here in the future haven't actually happened yet, right? These things haven't happened yet, but I've already predicted what my self-confidence is going to be because I'm basing it upon what my past is. This is your ego. Your ego's job is to look back into your past, try to understand who you are and who it thinks you are based upon your past experiences, and basically commit you to becoming that for the rest of your life. That leaves no room for growth. That leaves no room for becoming different. That leaves no room for change. Your ego is there. Your ego, all it wants to do is just to protect itself. And your ego is like, your ego will hold you back from growth because it just wants to be safe and comfortable and be in a position where it feels like it's under control, where it understands itself. The reality is, all it will do is it will look back, point towards what it thinks it is. And one thing that you mentioned, Sani, is that your past experiences and also what people have told you about yourself. Now, some of these dots on these lines aren't even your opinions, they're other people's opinions of you. So actually your future self-confidence is dependent upon what somebody else believes you are worth. And you know what? Your ego will fast forget the day it was good. But the fact is that may have just been you could have continued like on that journey. The thing is that after this moment happened where you had good self-confidence, your mind said, oh no, but look at my past. I'm not a self-confident person. So I'm just going to go back to the way I believe I am. And this is what your ego does to you. This is what your thoughts are there for. The power of our thoughts is summarized perfectly in this statement. All right. And I want you guys to listen carefully to what I'm about to say. Okay. Watch your thoughts, because your thoughts become your words. Watch your words, because your words will become your actions. Watch your actions, because your actions will become your habits. Watch your habits, because your habits will become your character. And watch your character, because your character will become your destiny. Your destiny, if you go back the steps, where does it start? Your destiny is dependent upon your thoughts. If you change your thoughts, if you change your relationship with your thoughts, then actually your destiny will change. And this is what we are trying to understand today. This is the minefield, don't mind the pun, that we're trying to break apart today. Your thoughts are just going to be there. But if you associate your future self based upon your past thoughts, then you're going to be stuck in a never-ending loop. It's a catch-22 and never be able to free yourself from the shackles of your mind. If you want to be free, then actually all you need to do is all these thoughts that happen in your mind, your relationship with your past thoughts. So you are here, and this is your relationship with your past thoughts. You need to not judge it, because the moment you judge it, you've embraced it, and now you're turning your future into what your past used to be. You need to let go, completely let go. And instead, when a thought comes into your mind, all you do is you say, oh, that was an interesting thought. Do I agree with it? Was that even me? Is that something I want to associate myself with? Actually, you know what? Nah, that's not a thought that I like. Straight into the rubbish bin. Just delete. Like, and you can do that. Now, this is when we're gonna start talking about how. What's the actual process of how can you get to a point where you have stepped back? And you know, it happened to me when I broke my leg. I don't know, that was just like a glitch in the matrix. But the beauty of number one, our religion, and number two, mindfulness, is that mindfulness is when you are mindful of your mind. You actually are in a position where you are observing your mind working, and you are then making a judgment after that observation. Who here has heard of meditation? And if so, what do you know about it? Who knows what meditation is? And if so, what do you know about it? You're very welcome, Sani. So I'm gonna just assume that nobody knows what meditation is. You've been living maybe under a rock somewhere. You don't know what meditation is. And even if it's a very basic understanding, I'd love to know what you think it is. Because what most people think meditation is somebody sat in a cave somewhere, cross-legged like this, doing that, going That's not what meditation is. Okay, Zaid says kind of like reflection. Tell me what you mean by that, Zaid. I do. It should relax the mind. Okay, Allah says it should relax your mind. Ah, there you go. Zahra is getting there. Observing one's thoughts. Interesting. Very interesting. Uh, and it makes and makes it capable to create better decisions. Okay. Cool. Nice. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. I would love for you guys to unmute yourselves and just discuss what you've said. You know, I can read a line on a on a screen, but I'd love to actually hear someone's voice articulating what it is that they want to say. Okay, Zahra, Mukhtar, very very good point. Watching your mind. See these like little sentences. Anybody want to elaborate on their little sentence? Feel free. This is a non-judgment zone where we're here to learn from each other. That's what it's all about. Nobody? That's okay. I can just. All right. So nobody wants to speak. That's fine. Absolutely okay. Let's talk about it. Meditation. Now, what meditation? A lot of people think meditation is. They think it's just some people sat in a temple doing this, going just like vibrating with the frequency of the universe. There is maybe an element to that, but to the layman, to the to the everyday person, I'm going to break down meditation into its simplest form. And what I want you guys to do is see if you can find anything that this in your mind relates to. Anything that this relates to, let me know. Meditation is taking time out of your day to sit down and clear your mind of everything except for one thing. What you do in the time where you're meditating is you are putting yourself in a position where you are focusing your thoughts on just one thing. And when another thought tries to come into your headspace, you observe the fact that, okay, now we have a thought that's tried to enter my mind. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up the door and let it float away. Then you close the door again, and then you go back to thinking about that one thing. All right, so another thought comes in, and then you say, oh, we have another thought. Let's open up this door, we'll let it float away. We're going to close the door again, and then we're just going to think about this one thing. This is the essence of meditation. As practice, and this is as a practice, that is what meditation is. Meditation is that where you take time out of your day to concentrate your mind to think about one thing. Now, meditation, if you think of it as like a muscle and there's an exercise, what it really is the ability to watch a thought appear in your mind and then have the capability and the control to be able to say, do I want this to stay here, or do I want to open up the hatch and let it go away? Imagine we spoke about earlier today. We spoke today, has been talking about how it's so important to be able to differentiate which thoughts you want to keep in your mind and which thoughts you don't want to keep in your mind. If you think about meditation as a muscle, and the thing it makes you better at is the ability to identify a new thought and then make a decision as to whether you want to keep it or not keep it. Meditation is like a superpower. Like being able to control that. Meditation means you're able to control your thoughts and you have full control over your thoughts. And you're not actually living inside your thoughts, but rather you are observing and you are watching your mind. You are the watcher of your own mind. That is what meditation unlocks for us. And if you're able to observe all the thoughts in your mind, means that you actually now have control over the thoughts in your own mind. If you have control over the thoughts in your mind, then you have control over your words. If you have control over your words, then you have more control over your actions. And if you have control of your actions, you have control of your habits. If you have control of your habits, you have control of your character. If you have control of your character, then you have control of your destiny. Thoughts, destiny. Your destiny depends on your thoughts, and your thoughts depend on your ability to actually control which ones appear, how they appear, whether you understand which ones you want to keep, which ones you don't want to keep, and having that ability to really, really, really be in control of your mind. That is when you are in control of your mind. That is when you have understood how to differentiate between you and the voice inside your head. And rather than just be a slave to the voice inside your head and do anything it tells you to do, you're able to step back, use your brain as just a machine, and use it when you need to use it. But when you don't want to use it, it can sit there screaming and shouting all day. And all you do is you just watch it and you laugh. Whenever it comes up with a stupid thought, you'll sit there, you laugh. You say, that was a dumb, you know what? That was a funny one. You know what? That's funny. But we're not taking that. That won't run in my show. You start to be the master of your own destiny. You start to control your own future. And it all starts right up here. The moment you have the capability to see a thought come into your mind and then have the control of whether you want to stay or whether you want to go, that is beautiful. Now, anybody else here want to fathom a guess what other exercise sounds similar to taking some time out of your day to sit down, think about one thing or one thing only, and then having the control to when you see another thought come up, let go of it. Exactly. Salah, namaz, exactly. Why do we never get taught Salah in this way? Why is it that I had to go read a book about Buddhism to think, oh my God, this whole mindfulness thing, this whole meditation thing, I've heard it somewhere. I've seen this before. Imagine if we get taught Salah rather than you need to go and pray because you'll go burn in hellfire otherwise. Imagine if we get taught it as if you pray, then you have control of your thoughts. And if you have control of your thoughts, then you have control over your destiny. How much more powerful is it for a kid to sit there, 16, 17-year-old going, nah, you know what? I want to be successful. I want to be in control of my destiny. So actually, I'm not doing it because I don't want to go to hell or go to heaven. I'm doing it because I want to become the best version of myself. And the way I do that is by controlling my thoughts. The way I'm going to control my thoughts is by like literally building that muscle of see it come in, say yes or no, and then make a decision rather than just live inside that box. And whatever comes, it's like, oh my God, I have to deal with it now. Step outside the box, look at the box, and watch as a thought comes in. Make a decision about whether you want it to be there or not want it to be there, and then let it go or let it stay. But the fact is, you're not living inside that box anymore. You've stepped out of that box, and now you watch that box. You watch everything that comes into that box, but you are not that box. You are not in that box. You are here. You are watching it. And you make decisions. And that's, for me, like I feel so blessed that when I was 16 years old and I broke my leg, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala let me zoom out for a second. Rather than just seeing my leg on my shoulder and freak out because the thought in my head said, you've just broken your leg. The thought in my head was from here and it said, ah, it seems like you just broken your leg. Okay, you got two options. You got this, you got that. I don't know how that happened, but now I actually know how to be able to construct the situation in life where that can happen. And the beauty of that is so, so vast. If you're in a relationship and your other half, angers you or they do something that's frustrating, rather than just living in that anger in the moment, you say, hold on, let me zoom out. I'm getting angry right now. Why am I getting angry? You start the moment you take the thought from up here. Imagine the box is here in my head, yeah, and that's like I'm getting angry. The thought is here. Imagine I can just go, and then just I'm watching it, the brain. I'm watching my head. I'm like, I'm about to get angry. You know what? I don't want to get angry. Let it float away. It's not worth it. Or you're stuck. It's again like stuck in a traffic jam. Someone cuts you off. Rather than going, oh, what are you doing? You just say, in that moment where that thought just comes into your mind, rather than be just engulfed by the emotion, you're able to separate yourself from it and say, all right, well, you know what? Maybe they're having a rough day. You know what? Why am I going to get angry? It's just going to ruin my day. So why am I letting someone else ruin my own day? Let them go, let them live their life. Imagine if we had that much control over our mind. And the way we do that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the tools. I try to meditate as often as I can. You pray, but then again, your prayer, are you really approaching it? Are we really approaching it with that sort of mindset of actually let me be mindful and think about one thing? It's hard. I'm not going to say it's easy. It's very hard to get into that state. But the fruits, and I say all of this to myself before I say it to any of you, the fruits, if we're able to do this correctly, if we're really able to control our minds in the way that I've described, that is how you change the world. That is when you change your own world and you change the world of the people around you. And that is the discussion that I wanted to talk about today. That's the perspective that I wanted to share. We'll open out for questions. If anyone has a comment, if anyone has a story to share, anything, feel free. And thank you so much all for listening.